a huge fucking nerd. That's right, I'm a huge fucking nerd. I like lots of books and computers, 'cause I am a huge fucking nerd.
One-of-a-kind shades made to order by Vaporshades.com. Vaporshades designs the outer layer of the sunglasses just like a wrap on a car. They customize your sunglasses, marbling the paint. The end result is no two pair of sunglasses are alike. Yours will be completely unique to you. Check us out at Vaporshades.com. Use promo code Tuddle for 15% off your entire order. Get ready for your daily dose of Tuddle.
The all-time greatest intern/producer we've ever had, of course, Tuddle. Tuddle in Florida.
From the Vaporshades Hobo Fish Camp, it's the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
No wonder nobody likes you, Tuddle. Everything's a goddamn debate.
Welcome to another edition of the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Make sure you check out my website, Tuddle.net. That's Tuddle with two D's, Tuddle.net. Now, there's a couple of ways you guys can get a hold of me. You can either email me, Tuddle@gmail.com, or you can leave me a voicemail, 407-270-3044. Once again, that is 407-270-3044. Today's one of those days. I know that I talked about some serious stuff when it comes to politics and what's going on in our nation right now, but I'm just not in one of those moods to talk about the same exact thing that every single person out there is talking about. I don't care if it's on podcasts. I don't care if it's on radio or TV. And I had a really hard time trying to do show prep for today's show. So I tried to find as many of these weird-ass news stories that I can find and just random thoughts. Saw a story that I'm going to get into later. Weed and 7 Benadryl and other wild-length COVID docs are taken to get sleep. COVID is also killing the cocaine market. Oh, I need your help on this, but I'll get to it later. Apple is really pissing me off. I want to talk about, after watching the Alabama football game this past weekend, they won another national championship. I want to talk about, if you look really close, you'll always see a state trooper guarding one of the coaches. And I want to talk a little bit about, is that an honor? What does it even pay? A lot of people are resorting to OnlyFans page. Hackers seize control of internet-enabled chasity cages. And this is the one that I want to talk about. Nazi, monkey, and swastika-wearing goats at Russian circus spark fury in criminal probe. Now, this story, and I'll give people credit for it. These newspapers in Europe, especially the UK, their headlines, they are magnifique. They are so amazing. So I just told you what the story is about. The headline is The Third Reich. Now, I absolutely, look, I know a lot of people don't like puns, but I love puns. I know that when you do a pun on like a real radio show or like Bubba the Love Sponge, you'll get called out for using a pun. Puns are easy, but the basics. Get back to the basics. Because, I mean, look at some of the greatest chefs in the world. They use basic ingredients. Keep it simple, stupid. So why not keep comedy? A good pun, I mean, a creative pun, I'll give it that. But there are bad puns. But I could, the main reason that I even found this story is because the headline said, Third Reich, Nazi monkey and swastika-wearing goats at Russian circus sparked fury in criminal probe. Now, in a lot of countries, it is illegal to display the Nazi flag, or the swastika. Yeah, it's illegal. Now, here in the United States, we have absolutely freedom of speech. And I agree. Listen, you should be able to fly whatever you want to. But prosecutors in Russia have launched a probe into a circus featuring a monkey in Nazi uniforms and goats parading in swastikas. The bizarre show was commissioned by the Russian Orthodox Church and has been captured on video. The performance, watched by children, showed the animals being controlled by trainers dressed in Soviet uniforms. Okay, now, all right. A lot of people forget. See, the way that they portrayed this story, Russia was actually one of the good guys during World War II. I mean, I think Russia, when it came to soldiers lost, suffered the most casualties. But I got to tell you, Hitler absolutely screwed up trying to fight on two fronts. His supply chain wasn't good enough to get to Russia. And his idea was, well, we'll just take over Russia and we'll take their supplies. Well, you know what Russia did? They burned everything when they retreated. They were like, hey, if we're leaving, we cannot leave anything for the Nazis to be able to use against us. And then the other thing, they couldn't handle the cold. I'm sorry. I love history, so I had to get into that. So I see where this might be going, because if they have one animal dressed in Russian outfits and the other animal dressed in Nazi outfits, this is a recreation of World War II, and Russia was actually on our side. Russian law normally bans the display of Nazi symbols, but last year, Vladimir Putin signed an exemption when they are shown in a negative way. Okay. See, now I will give the the Daily Mail, Daily Mail. You know what? I feel a little torn on this. I love the headline, but just like true media, they gave you the switcheroo. They played the shell game on you. The performance was in the state circus of, I'm not even gonna, well, you know what? I'll try it. Udmurtia in Izhevsk, a city famed as the headquarters of the Kalashnikov weapons plant. Oh, okay. Well, let's see here. Police and prosecutors are investigating the show, which coincides with the celebration of the Russian Orthodox Christmas last week. All right, no surprise here. Anytime you involve religion, it pisses off people, and for the most part, the religious people are doing shady stuff. The circus and the church have since argued that the goats with capes displaying, I'm sorry, I would have paid high dollars just for this entertainment. And it's not because that I am a Nazi or I'm a white supremacist. No, who would not want to see animals reenacting historical events? My God. You know, they had that show Drunk History. I will burn that whole set down for Drunk History if you give me animals recreating historical events. Especially, you got to have a goat and a monkey. The goat and the monkey is the main host. I mean, for real. That is a match made in heaven. You're not going to see a better duo than that since John Stockton and Karl Malone at the Utah Jazz. So, yes, goat, monkey, host. I still have not been able to figure out, all right, I'm reading on. I'm getting ahead of myself. The circus and the church have since argued that the goats with capes, I know I already read that, so the goats with capes were the Nazis. Why does the goat have to be the Nazi? Maybe it's just the way that my brain works, but when I think goat, okay, here, let me back up a little bit. If you gave me two countries and you said you have to take a goat and that is going to represent that country, what does a goat represent more? Nazis or Russians? I think goat. Goat will eat anything just like the Russians will drink anything. Monkeys, monkey see, monkey do. Nazis, they did exactly what Hitler. I know this is all over the place. I know this sounds like the recorded tapes that the Unabomber probably sent, but that's where my brain goes. So, monkeys in Nazi uniforms were showing the Soviet victory over Hitler. Okay, so, yeah, I have no problem with this. Because when I first read this story, I thought, oh, they were just dressing up animals in swastikas. The church said the performance of trainers wearing Soviet military uniforms with animals carrying Nazi symbols was used as an image not only of victory over fascism, it also highlighted worldwide condemnation of ideals of Nazi Germany. Okay, see, screw you, Daily Mail. I thought this was going to be like a more shocking story, but I mean, I could see why that would be like, okay, so if we were Americans, and that's like if you put the goat in British uniforms, and then you put the monkey in like the uniforms like George Washington, you put the monkey in a little wig, you know how George Washington, all those guys wore wigs back in the day. Yes. Put the monkey in a goddamn wig, and I will watch that. Make it a full feature film. I will watch that all day long. Gonna take a quick break. I know that was a weird story, but you know what? God damn it. We're not talking about what is facing our nation at the moment. You are listening to the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
He's a nerd,
I've only been arrested one time.
a radio personality,
Professionally, I'm not in the best position that I've ever been in.
and hot talk satirizer.
You would think with everything that's going on, a Caucasian like myself wouldn't be able to randomly talk to an African American or a minority.
You're listening to the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Wish you could have just flown and had your vehicle arrive a day or two later so you can enjoy more time doing what's important to you? Well, you can. Just give Starfire Transport a call. Let the professionals do the driving while you're flying. Starfire Transport specializes in RV and auto transport. They'll also haul watercraft from boats to PWCs, cargo trailers, and more. Service available throughout the continental United States. So don't wait. Call Brian today at 574-349-4193 or 989-751-6106 for your next move. 10% off for veterans past or present. Also, make sure to tell them Tuddle sent you for an additional discount. That's Starfire Transport.
Welcome back to the Tuddle Daily Podcast, second segment of today's show. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tuddle. I've been uploading every single podcast now is now available on YouTube. And I had a conversation with myself and my producer, Vulture, and it's great. I talked to Michael Sharkey yesterday, and he said it's a great thing because a lot of people forget that YouTube is a search engine, and not a lot of people understand podcasts. So you want to get out there and get in front of as many people as you can. So make sure you subscribe. Go to youtube.com/Tuddle, and when you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell button, because when you hit that bell button, you're going to get alerted to any time I go live. So at the beginning of the show, I talked about how I was trying to stay away from the same old boring news stories. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't talk about those. It's just that I am taking a completely different angle when it comes to the stories that are related to the things that we're dealing with right now here in the United States of America. And the hardest hit place in our country right now is LA County, around Los Angeles, in California, for COVID. I think we had over 4,300 deaths yesterday, but they had a swingers party. Now, the way that I look at it, now, look, a lot of you guys are going to call me playing both sides, but I'm really, really not playing both sides. But I can see both sides. And sex. Sex makes people do really, really dumb things. I mean, think about it, guys. When we were younger, we were just trying to hook up and get in a girl's pants. Yeah, we did everything, and you know what? We took drugs. We had risky behavior when we were trying to hook up because it's ingrained in our DNA. I talk about this all the time, people. You know, humans, we're still animals. We are animals. We're just evolved but we still have that in our DNA. It's ingrained into us to be that way. Guys are wanting to populate the earth, spread their seed. I'm not saying that's how I think, people. I'm just telling you why some guys are the way that they are, but also women. You know, it's in their DNA. You look at every female out there in the wildlife right now. Their sole purpose is to eat, take care of their kids, and breed. They want it. And I know that sounds weird, and a lot of people are going to judge me, but we are nothing but animals. So they had this swingers party out in L.A. County, and the cops busted it down. Like, it was like prohibition on pussy. Prohibition pussy. This is exactly what this is. It is prohibition pussy. And what I'm trying to tell you is I have a hard time swallowing, even though I agree. I've talked about this. During World War II, everybody sacrificed. Everybody sacrificed to the war effort. People started building stuff for tanks, airplanes, guns, whatever they could do, manufacturing food to send to our troops. We did it. Everybody sacrificed back then. Now here in the United States, this is how much we have fallen off, is that, and I knew that, I told you that I wasn't going to get political, but God damn it, it's kind of hard. But just, this is the setup, okay? I'm going to get into the nuts and bolts of everything here real soon. But we can't even sacrifice to wear a goddamn mask. And there were some of these people, but there was a sex club, there was a swingers party, and the federale rolled up on him and shut that bitch down.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the party is over. If you do not come down, you will be subject to arrest.
See, this is what I'm talking about when I say that I am just torn. I'm torn over the whole situation. Yes, something needs to be done, because right now, this pandemic is out of control. For you people that want to say, oh, well, the flu kills just as many. No, it does not. Last year, it was in between 40 and 60,000 people died of the flu last year. Here, in a year, it's not even been a year, and we're almost to 400,000 people. So come on. Start taking this shit seriously, people. But then on the other side, if we're nothing but animals, there's three basic things: food, shelter, reproduction. And I know there's not a lot of reproduction going on at these swingers clubs, but it's still sex, and we need that release. So, like I said, do I think that these people need to be arrested? No, they weren't arrested. They got citations, but I think something needed to be done. But I also have a problem with the government and law enforcement telling me that I can't go to a party and hook up with multiple chicks in the same night. I'm just not having it.
The party is over, and what a party this one turned out to be. Women dressed to thrill, some dressed with long fake eyelashes, some with their designer face mask, and others hardly dressed at all.
I so want to mess with this guy, but I can't. I mean, listen to his delivery. This guy, even though it's way over the top, which I like people that bring energy to my news reports. Listen to his voice. That is a silky, smooth, confident voice, and I just can't make fun of it. I mean, like I said, I love puns, and I love news reporters that go over the top and they're puking, kind of like I'm doing right now. Yes, they were barely wearing anything at all.
What is happening right now?
You're being detained.
I'm only making this joke because this was at a swingers party, and I know that it is most likely somebody going by on a Vespa or a moped in the background. But goddamn, the first thing that my brain went to, I was like, oh man, this party was wild as F, because they got a gas-powered dildo machine back in the back. You know, one of those ones like a lawnmower that's got a pull start. You know you have a problem when most people use like electronic or battery-powered dildos or vibrators. No, you may have a problem if you have to pull start your gas-operated vibrator at a swingers party. I'm just saying, it might be a little too much for you to handle.
Single believe that's at this illegal party.
Not just an illegal party during the pandemic, but a swingers party as it's advertised online here at plushlife.org. The raid even catches some right in the act, looking out the window as the LA County Sheriff's Department's elite super spreader task force moves in.
Isn't that redundant when you've already got the elite super spreading task force inside taking care of the dudes? I told you guys I like puns, and guess what? I thought that was kind of a creative pun, but you know what? You might have thought it sucked.
And shuts this one down.
Once we confirmed that people were at this location, we responded and detained probably close to 200 people.
I'm just saying, I have never been to a swingers party, but I can almost guarantee you that there were some people in there that were eating ass. I mean, women eating ass, guys eating ass. But if you're eating ass, you do not give a damn. You're telling the coronavirus to F off every day, all day, if you're eating ass or eating the ass of a complete stranger at a swingers party. So it's not like these, matter of fact, those people that eat ass, they might not even need that double vaccine that we have out there. Because if you're eating the ass of a complete stranger, your immune system has to be up there with some of the best. I'm just saying, guys. I'm not trying to shock jock you with that little statement there. But if you're eating ass of a complete stranger, I'm sure your immune system can handle the coronavirus.
Citations written up by the dozens and handed out to a much different looking crowd.
Okay, I got to jump in here a little bit. I got to tell you, I'm a little wary of just making any statement on this show anymore. And it sucks that I got to cover my ass because it kind of takes away from the joke. And I'm just being honest, people. Look, I'm not behind Trump. I have mixed feelings once again on that because I see both sides. But I want to be able to cover my ass because with the cancel culture that is going on right now, a lot of people will hear what I said and they'll be like, oh, Tuddle is giving out false information about the coronavirus. No, it's just jokes. That's all it is. This is a parody. It is a joke about what is going on in our country right now, and it sucks. I gotta tell you, I don't support any of the stuff. I'm glad that Trump got banned on Twitter, to be honest, because it was causing a lot of problems. And guess what? I support Twitter's right to be able to do that because it is a private company. Do laws need to be changed? Yes, laws need to be changed. But right now, I mean, when you sign up, and not everybody reads those terms of agreement, they just go ahead and they hit that little box and put that check mark on there and go about their business. But they can get rid of you at any time. And that is not censorship against your First Amendment right. It's just not. A private business can decide not to do business with you. But I digress on that. But I got to cover my ass. So what I just said, yes, even if you eat ass, I think you should still get the coronavirus vaccine. I'm just making jokes about people that got sent home. Americans told that they cannot have sex or swing with each other because of coronavirus. Would I like them to stay home? Yes, I would love for them to stay home so we can get over this bullshit that we've been going through for almost a year. But like I said, I also think that Americans should not be able to be able to be told where they can or cannot go to or who, or if they want to be in a room where it's like 6 guys, 6 girls and anything goes, that's on them. As long as they're not minors and they're not held against their will, I have absolutely no problem with it. So that is my disclaimer. Please don't take anything that I was saying true. If you eat ass, you should still get a vaccine.
Then the other super spreader parties Fox 11 News has been reporting on. No teenagers in T-shirts. Here it's middle-aged men in suit coats, women in fur coats, and heels so high they can barely walk.
One of my favorite things is when a TV news reporter, because all these reporters on TV have gotten lazy. They're like, oh, well, you can see the pictures. I don't have to be descriptive. No, I love it when TV news reporters get over descriptive when they say, high heels so tall that they can barely walk in them. And I got to tell you, good on you, whoever the cameraman was, because he got some good ass shots whenever they were talking about barely wearing anything. Ooh, I'll post this on my Twitter account, twitter.com/Tuddle, so you can watch the full video.
All of this at a warehouse on 61st Street in South Central LA. Up on the third floor, you are now walking into this warehouse turned swingers club. Beds with condoms and towels laid out, ready to use. There are even cages and dance poles. No wonder some not too happy their fun ends sooner than they had hoped.
It would not be as bad for the people that just finished, but can you imagine when the cops come in there, they use that little battering ram, they got the flashlights going, and that's a big mood killer. But think about the dude that is almost there. He's in mid-stroke right about that time when you're about to bust, and the woman pulls away from you because the cop, who wouldn't pull away? But that guy is sitting there with the worst case of blue balls, having lights shined in his face, guns maybe pointed at him, and now he's got to pay a ticket. So not only did he probably pay to go to the swingers party, not only did he not get to completion, he's got the biggest case of blue balls, and then he's got to pay a citation for breaking the COVID curfew.
They are all going, forced to leave a swingers party that turns into a super spreader.
Put your mask on, please.
And during a pandemic, this sheriff's task force warns it will target and shut down any illegal party.
I think where the promoters of the swingers party went wrong, it was kind of in a warehouse in an industrial type area. I do not think, I could be wrong, and I would be really actually pissed off about this. If this swingers party was in a residential home, a private residence, I almost said Revenant, great movie. Leo won the Oscar. They kind of just gave it to him. He should have won for Wolf of Wall Street. But I digress. What I'm trying to say is I don't think that the cops should be able to come into a private residence and break up a party, even though I still agree that something needs to be done to stop this pandemic right now. But you just can't go into American citizens' homes and break up a party. So the promoter of the swingers party needs to downgrade or kind of pull it back a little bit, maybe charge a little bit more, but go with a private residence as your hosting party for your super spreader event.
LA County Sheriff's Department was out tonight to enforce the public health order, and we will continue to do so.
The party is over. You need to come downstairs with your hands up. If you do not, you will be subject to arrest.
That is something definitely you do not want to hear if you're at one of these underground parties. The sheriff on the loudspeaker saying you are busted.
Look, I automatically assumed that people just went raw dog at the swinger parties, but during the report, they were talking about condoms and stuff all over the bed. Now, I did witness that not a lot of them were opened, but, the worst thing you can hear instead of come on out with your hands up is, uh-oh, the condom broke.
A couple hundred citations handed out at that underground party over the weekend, then everybody released. As for that swingers website, it is advertising more swinger parties this weekend in LA County, advertising that couples are welcomed, meaning the LA County Sheriff's Department might be an unwelcome guest again.
In closing, I know that I said that I wasn't going to talk about this stuff, but this is kind of a story that is layered. You got a little bit of that self-insulation there because it's talking about a swingers party during the age of COVID. I wanted to be able to give you my opinion on it. I think that these people should not be doing it, but I don't think that it shouldn't be allowed. And I know that's kind of confusing people. I know that it is. But what I'm trying to tell you is that I am one way. I see both sides on this. I don't think you can tell American citizens what they can or cannot do and move around this country freely. Do I want them to stay at home, quarantine, try to stay away from these big events like you had in Tuscaloosa after Alabama won another national championship? I think they're 18th. Come on, act like you've been there before. Is it really worth going out, getting sick, maybe having a chance of dying? Because let's act let's not act like young people aren't dying of this disease as well, or you bringing it to one of your older relatives. So be smart. Act like you've been there before. So that's why I have a mixed opinion on this COVID super secret spreader event that happened to be a swingers party. No. I mean, let them do what they got to do. Give them a citation, but do I think they need to be arrested? Hell no. Gonna take a quick break. Gonna wrap up the show. You are listening to the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
From the Vapor Shades Hobo Fish Camp.
Man, maybe I would have way more sex partners in my life if I just threw caution to the wind.
It's the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Tuddle's Daily Podcast is brought to you by StitchYouUp.com. For your embroidery, screen printing, vinyl, and direct-to-garment printing needs, visit StitchYouUp.com. Stitch You Up specializes in custom caps, shirts, decals, and anything you want to personalize. Whether it's one item or large orders, they can handle any size. Unsure about what you want? Let Stitch You Up help you with your logo design. Visit StitchYouUp.com or contact them, Eric at StitchYouUp.com. Stitch You Up. Definitely not your grandma's embroidery.
Welcome back to the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Last segment of today's show. I want to talk a little bit about something. I've mentioned how my dad, the older he gets, he does not like the cold weather at all. I'm trying to find ways to be able to get him outside, but I've also been taping a lot of movies that come up on like Stars, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, any of those channels. And there were a couple of movies that I watched as of late that I taped for my dad. And you got to remember, my dad's getting a little bit older, and I'm sure he's seen some of the movies that I've recorded for him, but he also forgets a lot. There were 2 movies recently that I taped for him, one last night that I completely forgot about. I mean, we all have those movies we loved growing up, but you just forget about them because there is so much content coming out of Hollywood. But the movie Casualties of War, it's the war movie that takes place in Vietnam. They end up kidnapping one of the residents, the civilians, and they end up raping this Vietnamese woman from, I guess, North Vietnam or South Vietnam. Who knows? They really never say in the movie. But this movie stars Sean Penn, a very weird Sean Penn. The whole time I was like, oh my God, this is Spicoli in Vietnam, just throwing a grenade and just laying level to a shack or a shanty of these Viet Cong members and just laying waste to all of them. And Sean Penn was just so weird. I don't understand like how he became a respected actor. I know a lot of people made fun of him for doing he did, what was that? I Am Sam. The movie where, that Robert Downey Jr. In Tropic Thunder says, never go full retard. Yes, I know it shouldn't use the R word, but it was in the movie. And then you had Michael J. Fox. This movie took place in 1989, so this had to be filmed right after the second Back to the Future. And it just looked weird. Like, I know that they have a height, like, minimum when it comes to serving. There's no way that Michael J. Fox would ever be able to make the height minimum. And then the other movie. A lot of people talk about how Hollywood's running out of ideas. They do a lot of remakes. A lot of people forget in 1997, in back-to-back years, 1997, which you had Dante's Peak in the movie Volcano, starring Tommy Lee Jones. The other one was with Pierce Brosnan. And then in 1998, you had the same exact thing happen with Armageddon and Deep Impact. And that's actually the movie that my dad is watching right now, Deep Impact. And it is so eerie. And I don't know how. I mean, what are the chances in back-to-back years that they would do 2 movies that are similar to each other. It's like, how did nobody, and maybe people did call it out back in the day, but my God, it could it be even more apparent? Did this guy double dip? Did some dude sell the volcano idea to Universal or Sony or whoever it may be? Hey, let's get Tommy Lee Jones in one volcano movie, and let's get the current Bond, Pierce Brosnan, to be in Dante's Peak. And then you had 2 asteroid movies where they both drill into it. And if you want to think about it, Armageddon has so many plot holes in it. You know, they would rather take a bunch of, roughneck oil riggers and teach them how to be astronauts instead of teaching astronauts how to be oil riggers. It just doesn't make that sense. What would you rather have? I think it would be a lot easier to train somebody how to drill down into an asteroid than it is to train them to be an astronaut. It's just so many plot holes in that. So I apologize. It was just some random thought, and I'll understand why people did not call it out more. When I went to break last segment, I ended up taking a little bit of time off because I had my monthly segment with A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan. I'm on their show once a month just to come on. I mean, those guys are actually really helping me out. I mean, they're not really getting anything out of this. And I've always had this, and I told them, I just don't want to come on and plug my content. I want to be able to come on and give you guys some type of added value and some entertainment. And I try to go on there and mix it up. And I think that me, Daniel Dennis, Tom Van work very, very well together, because a lot of people don't realize is that I worked with them for 10 years, maybe a little bit shorter when it comes to Tom Van, drunkie. And also people forget that I was with them when they first started this podcast. I mean, it was their idea, but I was coming in to help out a lot before I ended up getting fired. And then something, I know what happened. I moved to Tampa. I was all the way over in Tampa working, and I tried to make it back to be able to be on their show, but it just did not work out. It was just not feasible at all. And I kind of lost touch with the guys, but I am so fortunate. I am so grateful for everything that Tom and Dan are doing for me right now by allowing me to come on their show to be able to promote this content. I'm waiting to get the audio. I had a Zoom chat with Michael Sharkey. If you remember him, he is my old program director from 1025 The Bone. And it makes me actually feel better about doing the podcast because this guy is well known, one of the most respected names in broadcasting when it comes to being a program director. And he saw the writing on the wall. He's like, I don't know what happened. I can't speak for him, but it makes me feel more confident about doing a podcast that a big name, a big programmer in radio, terrestrial radio, would move over to be a podcast coach. So we talked about this the other day, and he said one of the main things is cross-promotion. We do a lot of cross-promotion on terrestrial radio when I was working there, that we would promote all the different day parts. Like the morning show, they would promote middays, afternoon drive, and nights. And then nights, they would talk about some of the stuff that the morning show, midday, and afternoon drive were talking about, because you want to mix it together. You'd be like, hey, guess what? Like, for example, Soul Brother Kevin. Welcome to the Soul Brother Kevin show. I'm not even going to try to do, because with the environment we're living in, I am not going to attempt to do an impersonation of Soul Brother Kevin, but Soul Brother Kevin would be like, welcome to the Soul Brother Kevin show. Really appreciate you joining us. God, I'm not even coming close to how good of a broadcaster Soul Brother Kevin is, but you'd be like, hey, man, I heard Drew Garabo talking about such and such, and then you would discuss it a little bit and be able to promote them. So it just didn't sound like a commercial, but Michael Sharkey told me, yes, you want to get on and cross-promote on a bunch of different podcasts, all the podcasts that you can. That's how I met the guys from Funny to Informing, John and Chris, the weekly review with Ciroc and his partner out of Tampa, Tom and Dan. When I first started this podcast, I got on a lot of different podcasts. Oh, Tots with Ross. That was another good one that got me a lot of recognition locally here in Central Florida. But I got to tell you, you got to be careful with that. You don't want to be associated with horrible podcasts because that's going to be like, oh, well, why would I listen to this dude's podcast if he's going on it? Because their show sucks. And why am I going to give this guy a chance? If he's desperate enough to go on this show, then why am I going to give him the time of day? So if you're a podcaster, matter of fact, if you're looking for a hosting site, you can go to, because I use Podomatic, Podomatic.com, one of the best hosting sites, because I did a lot of research, and it's really, really good. You get up-to-date analytics, which will drive you crazy. Especially if you get into the podcasting thing, you're going to be like, oh, what did I do yesterday? What did I do wrong? Why didn't I get enough downloads? Well, I mean, if you want to drive yourself crazy, Podomatic is definitely the place you need to go. Great, great quality. I update really, really fast to all of the podcasting platforms that I am on, and I think you should check it out. But you got to be careful about going on any of these other shows because, yeah, you might get some promotion, you might pick up a couple of people, but you're going to be associated with inferior content, and that's the last thing you want to do. So before I get into my final topic of the day, I want to quickly mention the interview, the guest appearance that I had on Funny to Informing with John and Chris. You heard them being on my show this week. They came over this past weekend. I recorded stuff for their show. They recorded stuff for my show. And their part of it, me being on their show, is available now. Just search Funny to Informing with John and Chris. It's available on all podcast platforms, Spotify, iTunes, as well as iHeartRadio. I think they might be on a couple more, but just search Funny to Informing. And that interview that I did with them is available now. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and I've never really understood this, but I kind of do a little bit, kind of related to a lot of the things. I'm kind of torn, but there's this story out. I know here in the world, a lot of people have been having problems with hackers. Well, I didn't even know that this was a thing, but they have these chasity belts or chasity things that, I mean, a lot of people think chastity belts are for women, but they also sell these chastity cages that guys that are wanting to be the submissive type and have a woman, or hell, it could even be a guy, dominate them. I think the dominatrix side, the dom, likes to have power over somebody else's sexual organs. I've talked to Scarlett Lush about this. Scarlett Lush, I've known her for quite a while. The first time I met her was on the Spice Show on 102.5 The Bone over in Tampa. And she makes a great living off of it. It's amazing how many guys. And the thing is, I know a lot of you people want to think, oh, well, you know, she's basically a whore. No, she's not. And she's not really having sex with any of these people. Now, there are an elite few that are lucky enough to be her pets that I think she may, but I don't think she's not getting paid for it. But she's told me stories about how guys will buy one of these chastity cages so they can't masturbate at all. You put your penis in it while it's soft, and if you get an erection, you cannot do it. So basically, your dom, you're the sub, the dom controls your penis. If you can play with it, if you can have sex, whatever it may be. And they're getting even so advanced, and Scarlett would tell me about this, that they were like over the internet. They had Wi-Fi capabilities. So even if Scarlett was not there with one of her subs, she could hit a code and it would unlock his chastity cage so he could have sex or even masturbate. So the reason I'm talking about this is there's a story out with the hackers, and I guess this certain type of company that makes these chastity cages hacked into it. Now they are holding the to be able to unlock these chasity cages for ransom. And I'm sure it's got to be some Russian hackers. I've actually worked with some people in radio that have been a victim of this, that their laptops and all of their information. God, I wish I could tell that story. You would be absolutely shocked if you knew who had their computer and all of their personal information held ransom by some hackers that they ended up having to pay. I think. I can't say for sure, but I think this person that I know that works in radio. Oh, and by the way, it's not some like in the back guy. When I say his name, you would know exactly who I'm talking about, that had their personal information, all of their computers, all of their like technical like hardware was held ransom. And I think they actually paid it. But they have hacked these chasity cages, and now they're wanting like Bitcoin. They're not taking hard-earned cash or anything like that. They will only take Bitcoin. I'm telling you right now, I would take my chances with a grinder or a cutting tool. Hell, guess what? I will call the dudes. I'm pretty good friends with the local fire department. Come down here, put the jaws of life on it, and cut this mother effer off of my penis. I mean, it's not like I got a lot of stuff that you're going to be able to cut off. Matter of fact, you might have all of the room in the world to be able to get those claws in to clamp it down. And if you don't want to come do it, I will take the angle. You know what? My dad used to be an iron worker. I will find a way. I will put it on low heat, and we'll cut it off with a blowtorch. Yeah, I might get some third-degree burns or something on my unit, but I'll be damned if I'm going to pay some greasy-ass Russian to be able to unlock my chastity cage so I can have sex or even masturbate. And I don't even understand how these dudes even pee in it. Like, what happens if you wake up in the morning and you got, morning wood? You know how hard it is? You have to do that whole thing where you're almost laying parallel just to get your stream into the toilet. And for the most part, it's usually all over the place. The most annoying thing about peeing with morning wood is that it takes you a couple of minutes just to clean up all the piss you got on the seat, the lid, the floors, hell, even in the sink, bathtub. I mean, it's just all over the place. But I can say that I can see where people are into the chastity thing, because there was a time where, maybe I didn't last as long. And I would do a lot of edging. I would take myself to the point of about finishing, and then I would just basically stop, pull up my underwear, put on my shorts or pants, and then go about my day. And then maybe a couple hours later, I'd come back to it, work it a little bit, get it to the point about, and I think I did about a 10-hour edging session, and I'll never do it again because, God damn it, you would not believe the results that you get when you finally get to that that cliff where you're going to go right over the edge. When you hit that peak, oh yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of cleanup. There's going to be a lot of cleanup, 30 to 40 minutes right after it, if you know what I'm talking about. All right, so I didn't mean to shock jock you there at the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed everything that I did today. Tell your friends, family, loved ones, coworkers, neighbors, whoever it may be. Visit Tuddle.net. That's Tuddle with 2 Ds, TUDDLE.net. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys are being safe, and I will talk to you tomorrow.